So if you can, please mute yourselves so that it doesn't distract from the presentation. I'm going to be covering the 9.1 update, and I'll show you what's in it and some of the things that are in 9.1.1. There is a little bit of an interim release. Just came out. I'll talk about that in a minute. First, welcome and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you're at in the world. Thanks for showing up. I am recording this, as I said, and it will be posted on our website so that you can reference it anytime you want in the future. A couple things about 9.1 you need to know. There are prerequisites. You have to be at least at 8.1 or 8.x to upgrade to 9.1. Most of you are, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if your version of LAMUM is pre 8.x, you need to call us. We'll have to help you upgrade to an intermediate version to get to 8.0, and then you can go directly from 8.0 to 9.1. If you're using Linux, you must be at Red Hat 7 or CentOS 7. You will need a new license key for 9.x. Just be aware, if you do upgrade from an older version, we need to send you a new license key from 9.0 on. Some highlights of what's in 9.1. I'm actually going to show you all of these things. Averages by tag. You should know that there is an averages report under the history tab. That's comprehensive. We now have averages by tag. We have added LM remove. So if somebody is camping on a license and you want to take it away, you can use the LM remove if you have the proper permissions. Alerts, you can selectively delete alerts now. User activity export can be done by tools. That feature is under the history tab. I'm sorry, it's under the batch tab, where you can get activity for all users. It's a huge detailed report of all user activity. It used to be comprehensive, but now you can do it by tools. We've added a new time period year to date. We have a history graph now that's pretty cool. It has dynamic data, so you just scroll your mouse over the data and it tells you the value at that point. And it also has auto scaling. I'll talk more about what auto scaling is in a minute. We have a group usage history graph. We have a denials graph. We have feature name aliasing, wherein you can export into Excel the list of feature names. You can update the feature names or put the aliases in offline and then import the Excel file and do your feature name aliasing that way, as well as just do it interactively like you can now. We have a new batch report. It's all features at a certain tag. That's a batch report. We show reserved licenses now. We have a LAMUM expiration alert, which we always wondered, why didn't we put it in there? But you'll start getting, we'll talk about that. You'll get a notification from the product when your license key gets to be 10 days from expiration. The LAMUM itself is coming up for expiration. We allow you now in this version to select and delete multiple batch reports in one shot. And now you can edit the path for denial parsing in the denial parsing setup page. There's always issues around the path, it seems, when you're trying to get denial set up. You can edit in the denial parsing page itself. So let's go through each of these individually, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll go live to the actual product. So this is the usage home page, which you're familiar with. There's a new column in 9.1. It's called the averages column, and that's the same. It's the averages report. by tag. So each of these is a separate tag, and you can see the averages table for just that tag. The next is the LM remove. So this is in the current checkout details page. So these are the people that currently have this tool checked out and how long. And if you want to remove the license, you can click on this button now. This is a new button called remove. It basically executes the LM remove to bring the license back into the pool, but you do need to have LM admin permission to do that. So it'll prompt you when you click on this button remove, it'll prompt you for your username and password to ensure that you have the proper permissions to do that. The alerts, selectable multiple deletes, and that's basically you can go to any of the alerts. This happens to be the capacity threshold alert, and for all the alerts that you have set up, they'll be in this list here, and then you'll have these boxes. You can check off any that you want to delete, or you can just use this box to check them all, and then in one easy swift motion you can delete them. This is the user activity export by tool. So again, this is under the batch tab. There is a report called user activity export, and this is the gory detail report that has all the activity for all users. It used to be comprehensive, so it would do it for everything, but now you can just do it by tool. And so you'll need to use this little drop down to select the tool that you're interested in, and then the time frame. And I wanted to show you here that you have the new year-to-date option as well. You just click that and it'll give you all the gory detail in an Excel spreadsheet just by clicking export to Excel. So click the tool name from the drop down and then click a time period and then export to Excel. Once it's in Excel, you can pretty much do anything you want with that data. This is the new history graph, a little bit different than in prior releases. You'll see still have the dotted red line, which represents current capacity. But now whenever you scroll across the data, it's going to give you this information, the date and the number of licenses in use. I'll show you this live. It makes more sense. It's dynamic. And of course, this whole document can still be saved as a JPEG image if you wanted to. The other thing that the new history graph offers is auto scaling. And so let's as an example, let's say you have 10,000 licenses, which can happen, but your usage is down around 10 or 20. You're just going to see a flat line down here. You don't really see any detail. So with this new auto scaling thing, it'll scale it so that you can see, the actual usage, even if it's really low, when you have a very high capacity. This is the group usage report in 9.1. You select a tag, a tool, a group, and a time period, and that's in the header here. So this is MATLAB on this server, group CC101 in this time period, and it shows group usage of this tool in a graph form. And again, it's the dynamic data display as before. There's a couple of new buttons here with the dynamic data. You have a create batch report button, and you have a download the image. This would be the JPEG image version of this graph. So each of these, you can use these buttons on now. The denials graph, it's not real pretty, but it's a stack bar graph that shows the number of denials by date. Notice that these are just the dates and how many denials you got. So these are the dates on the x-axis. The y-axis is the number of denials for this particular tool. So this is a graph of denials by tool and tag for a given time period. Feature name aliasing, this is there now. You can change the names of these are the feature names given by the vendor, and as you may or may not know, you can change those to something more user-friendly now, but you got to search for it, find it, change it over here, click update, and then it'll start reporting using the user-friendly feature name. Well, now you can export the table. This could be a very long list. I mean, it's not uncommon. You might have 1,000 features here. You can export them, clean them up offline or change them offline, save it, browse to it, import, and then it'll automatically update all the feature names for you. So this allows you to do feature name aliasing offline. And of course, you can always export it again and change names and do whatever you want. But this is a feature, all features by tag. So again, it's under the batch tab, and it says feature, can't read that, feature usage by tag. And so again, you select a tag, and you can actually select all features or just specific features under that tag, and then that'll become a batch report based on the number. Is it a 7-day report, which would be weekly, or a 30-day report, which would be monthly, and so forth. So this is a way of setting up a batch report to cover all the tags, or a list of specific tags, specific tools by tag. By the way, all this stuff has been things that were recommended or requested by customers. But we think that they were good, so we put them in here. Reserved licenses, you know, we've always done borrowed licenses, but now we have reserved licenses under the current checkout overview. Oh, leave me alone. Okay, so this is the current checkout overview page, and in that now there is a reserved column. If you have licenses that are identified as reserved, they'll show up in this table here. This is the LAMUM expiration. So our tool, when you're within 10 days, this doesn't start until 10 days before expiration of our license key, you'll start getting this countdown. And I guess every day you'll get it, you know, 10, 9, 8, 7. But it only starts 10 days before expiration. Just kind of a warning that LAMUM will expire in a certain amount of time. You all are really good about renewing, so it's not a huge issue, but hey, we have the ability, so why not show it? Select and delete multiple batch reports. Again, you can have all these batch reports set up and then just select specific ones and then do a batch delete of the reports that you no longer want. Or you can delete them all. Click that and it'll check all the boxes, and then you can delete them all and start over again if you want. But we had customers that wanted to do, you know, sort of multiple deletes at one time. So that's what this is for batch reports. This is the editing of the path for denials in the denial parsing setup page. So this is under parsers. You can the flex denial setup, parser setup page. You have the different paths that are here, and you can edit those in the parsers page for flex log file paths. There always seems to be some issues with paths, so you can edit them and then test them, edit them and test them. You don't have to go back to the licenses tab and change the log file path there, and then retest it, and then come back here and see if it'll parse. So this just takes the step out of having to go back and change the licenses in the license tab there. I assume you all know what I'm talking about. So you can edit the license file path, not the license file, the path to the Flex debug logs here, and then test it here. Or you can delete it here, or update it here. I guess that's an update. Other new functions that aren't necessarily something I can show you, but we support FlexNet Publisher now. We did an update to DSLs. We did an update to Altium. we added syntax checking to option file editing under the FlexDaemon Manager. I'm not sure if you're aware, but under FlexDaemon Manager, you can edit and deploy option files, but there was no syntax checking. And option files, the syntax is critical, so we've added syntax checking. So you know if it's good or bad editing. If you're using option files, I think this is going to be an important feature for you. Under batch reports, we allow you to, we changed the, I'll show you this live, it'd make more sense. And that is the report name, the delivery type, and the path, whether it's going to be a path or an email, or the email address. All those fields can be changed now. Before you only had the option, I think, of just changing the report name. And I think you could change it from weekly to monthly and all that, but that's not really relevant. So now you can change report name, delivery type, and path or email address instead of redoing that batch report again. Should make the use of batch reports a little more user-friendly. On the LAM side, we've added sticky filters. So if you use LAM, you know you have a filtering option there in any of the tables for licenses or servers or vendors or whatever. But if you filter it and go back, it just it goes back to the original no filters. But now the filters that you set will stick until you change them or remove them. Now you can create daemon down alerts by tag. So before we just had daemon down alerts, period. So all tags, if any tag goes down, you're going to get an alert. And some people wanted to be able to remove a specific tag, and now you can do that from the daemon down alerts. Some of the bug fixes in 9.1, there were a few problems in the LAM import templates. Most of you are way beyond this, but for new customers getting started, or for those that are intensive users of LAM and you're using the import templates to bring in new data, we fixed some of the bugs that were in the import templates. We've updated the help in there and done some other things on the LAM side. Listing and expiration, that's under real-time. Info real-time under the home usage tab, the info real-time, there's an option for listing and expiration dates. It will show the feature name aliases instead of, in the past, it always reverted back to the vendor given feature names. And duplicate feature names in Linux, we had a bug there that got fixed so that we don't see duplicate features reported in the Linux version of the software. So the components have almost all been upgraded. We're up to Apache 2.4.38 x64. We're up to Visual C++ 2017 x64, PHP 7.2.19 x64, Tomcat 8.5.27, MariaDB 10.3.8, Java 11, JDK JRE, and curl 7.64. So these components have all been updated in the 9.1 release. We did an interim, we just released this a couple of days ago, 9.11, so I thought I'd mention it in this webinar. There was a DSLs reporting bug that we missed in 9.1, so we got that fixed in the 9.1.1 release. And this 9.1.1 update is up on our FTP site right now for Windows. I don't think the Linux version is there yet, but the Windows version is. We also found in the first release of 9.1 problem with Active Directory and PHP. We had an earlier version, I think it was 7.2.16. I'm not sure, Alfred, if you want to chime in. I don't remember the old PHP version that we had in here, but the AD was not compatible with that PHP version. So 9.11, we upgraded it to, I think it's 7.2.19, and the AD link is fixed in 9.11. So if you've already upgraded to 9.1, you're going to definitely want to upgrade to 9.1.1. Also, I noticed we missed a bug, tag name missing. So in our system, you must put in a tag name over on the LAM side when you're putting in a new license. For some reason, in the 9.1 release, you could add a tag. I mean, you could get by with not adding a tag, and it would let you go on. And that leaves tag blank. So we needed to go back and fix that. So you must have a tag if you're adding in a new ported host. We've always had the check there, but for some reason it got lost in the 9.1 release. On the LAM side, we found a bug in the PO section. The saving of PDF files wasn't working. We fixed that. We've also increased the username limit to 255 characters. I don't know what it was before, 64 maybe, but it wasn't enough. So a customer wanted us to expand it, and this is fairly recent. We just went ahead and upgraded the username limit to 255. And then we just updated our website too. So I don't know if you've had a chance to go to teameda.com, but you're going to see it's a new, fresh, modern website. But when we did that, we forgot that there were links in the software, particularly in the parsers tab, for documents, app notes that reference documents in our website. Well, those links no longer worked. So we had to real quickly go back and fix those links. And that's because we just happened to concurrently update our website. And so a 9.11 fixes those embedded website links in the parsers tab. So that's that. I'm going to go live now to the product. I'm sure you have questions, and maybe some of the live stuff will answer those. I am recording this, and this will be posted within a couple of days up on our website under resources. There's a tab called resources, and then I think it's video updates. And that's where this meeting will be. I just wanted to point out that if you ever need technical help, you can use this link here, support@teameda.com, and you should be able to reach somebody. All right, let's go live to the product, and I'm going to try to remember. So I'm live now in LAMUM 9.1. So the first thing I wanted to show you is the averages. So here's the averages. Again, I'm in the usage home tab, and under averages, if I go to like NX, this is the averages report that you've always gotten up here. This is averages comprehensive. We're going to change that name, or it's going to be called comprehensive averages in the next release, because this is everything. This is all tags. But now you can just get the averages by tag. This is a very valuable report, by the way. If you have never used the averages report, there's a lot of really valuable information in there. So that's averages by tag. I'm going to go to show you the LM remove. So I'm just going to go to, well, I can go to any one of these and just go to the license current checkout details. So this is the trident that the current checkout details for any of the products that you have. And you'll notice there's a remove button here. So if you've got somebody that's had it out for too long, you can just do a click on here. You're going to get a pop-up window that asks for your LM administrator credentials, and it's going to look and make sure that you have the rights to do that. So you can put your name and password and submit. If you don't have the rights to do that, you're not going to be able to do it. So that's the only qualifier. In order to remove a license, you have to have the permission to do that. That executes the LM remove command. Alerts, selectable deletes. So I'm going to go to alerts, and let's just do any one of these. Doesn't really matter. This happens to be the capacity alert for MATLAB on this server, but you'll see that you can delete just by clicking these boxes here. You can delete that specific alert, or if you click there, you delete them all. So that's selectable delete for alerts. The next one I'm going to show you is the user activity export by tools. So that's under batch. This is the user activity export report. And so now we've added the tools button. So you pick a time period. Here's the year to date again, and then a tool. So these are all specific tools. So you just pick a tool. Let's see what we got in here. Not all of these actually have any data in it. Well, so it doesn't really matter. I just pick Abacus Standard. And if I do an export to Excel now, it's going to give me all the gory details for that tool in this time period, whatever time period I choose up here. And it dumps it out as an Excel spreadsheet. These are very comprehensive reports. There's a lot of detail that goes out. But instead of doing the comprehensive one, I mean, you could do them all, but now you can do them by tool if you want. Year-to-date time period, I've shown you that. The history graph. Yeah, this is very cool. So history graph, let's just go grab one. And we'll do this one here. That's good. So this is the new, I just did a 7-day for this tool. And you'll notice you can scale the graph by clicking this box over here, and that will change the scaling if you need to. But in this case, you can see as I move my cursor, it changes the date in the so you can get more detail out of this. It also does it for the capacity and the average line here. And then you have create batch report button here, and you have download JPEG image button here. I don't think I need to do that. I think you guys get the drift of that. But again, the purpose of the auto scaling is if you have a high capacity. I mean, it's not uncommon. You might have 10,000. The vendor gives you, all you can eat, but he gives you a 10,000 seat license or 20,000 seat license, which would scale this thing way up here. And if your actual usage is only, 5, 10, 20, 30, it's just going to be a flat line at the bottom. So in order to actually see the usage, it'll auto scale. So if you have that situation, you're going to like the auto scale capability. Otherwise, it's pretty much this. Well, it's different color kind of thing. Oh, the pie charts are they look a little different, but they're essentially exactly the same, design. I think they're prettier. That's the history graph, group usage graph. So if we go to groups and history graph by group. So again, let's look at NX. Let's do this one right here and pick a group. So I can do CC 101. I can do these are all my groups that I have. I'll just do CC 101 and submit. It's going to generate. It takes a little longer now to generate the graph because it's bringing in the usage now just for the users of that group. So let's go check and see what users are in that group. But it'll be that same new interactive graph.
Can I hear me? Okay, now you're on the not on. Can I pick up from here on the tape? No. try to confirm them.
Hey,
Right?
finally.
Software.
So this is the graph.
Maybe the software doesn't.
Why is that not coming up?
What number you have?
He's doing something here. I can't scroll. But essentially, you get the same kind of data.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's
Something with not this.
so these are actually the people in the
software
groups.
not complete copy.
You get that level of detail, but again, you get, you know, the data here showing usage by group. Group CC101, this tool, this tag, this time period. And you do get the dynamic data there as well. Something else must be going on here. Okay, so we're showing you group usage, the denials graph. Why don't I see the denials graph here? Is it under? Oh, it's under overview. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you see the graph, denials graph, and you can see heat map by specific tool when the denials are occurring. So the heat map shows you when the denials are occurring, what day of the week, what time of the day are the denials occurring. This is more of a, let's just see if what we get here if we click on that. That's that stack bar, again, showing you the days and how many denials you got on that particular day. Still doing something, I don't know what. Okay, come on. I think my
It opened in
browser
a
was
new window.
hanging up here. I don't know why. Okay. Feature name aliasing. If I go over to that, that's here. Change feature display name. And this is the traditional way you edit the feature names. But if you come down at the bottom down here, I can export the entire list, change them offline, save it, browse to the file, and then import, and it will have all the feature names updated in here. Okay, so that's that. All features by tag, so that's under here. Feature usage by tag batch report. So you pick a time frame, you pick a tag. So these are all my tags that I have. And then hit create batch report for that time period. So if I pick the 7-day and that, it's going to set up a batch report for all the features for that tag.
Super okay.
No.
Reserve licenses.
Oh, super okay.
No, I can't even do anyway.
Where was that? Is it under
How come
overview?
here?
It was,
Yeah.
okay. Reserve licenses show up under overview. We don't have any in our demo world here. LAMUM expiration alert, there's nothing to show. Select and delete multiple batch reports. So again, if I go to the batch report table, you see I have all of these. I can just select whichever ones I want to delete. Maybe I want to get rid of those. Hit delete selected reports. And it'll do that. And let's see, last thing I was going to show you was edit path and denial parsing. So if I go to the parsers and I go to flex denial parsing, why don't I see that here? Alfred, is there some reason why I don't see the paths for the denials here?
You said flex, but you're in DSLS.
Exactly.
Alfred?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm
Hello?
one guy.
Well, there's supposed to be sections here where you can actually edit the path to the Flex debug logs from here.
Go to the flex denial parsing setup guy.
And for some reason, oh, there they are. I don't know why maybe I pressed the wrong button. Okay, so this is for the denials. And you can see the paths here for each of the license names or tags, if you will. And you can edit them in here, do a delete or an update of the license file name here. And then you can do a parse now, see if it works right from this one page. So it should be easier to set up your Flex denial from here, this way. Okay, with that said, I've gone through pretty much all of the different enhancements and bug fixes in 9.1. I showed you what was in 9.1.1. If you're older than 8.x, make sure you contact us so we can update you ahead of time. But if you're most of you are at 8.x or above, so you can just go right to the 9.1.1 version. If you have any trouble, let us know. I'll open it up for questions now.
When something
Unmute
is
yourself.
updated, if something is updated and it issues a color, whether it passes or fails,
It was
is
all
there a
super
text
clear,
in
right?
there? Hello? Can you hear me?
No questions?
There's a question. Guy, there's someone asking the question.
I don't hear him. I didn't mute everybody. Let me just.
Hello?
I don't know why I can't hear you. Sorry. Let me see if I can unmute everybody. How do I unmute?
Still muted.
As far as I know, everybody's unmuted, but I still don't hear anybody.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Hello?
Guy, can you hear me? This is Jeff Munger. Hello?
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 I can hear you, Jeff.
Okay, I see chat questions coming in. Let me look at those.
That's a good idea. Do it that way.
Will all green, red also say PassFail? Yes,
Yes.
that's true. When we went to the, in this, I think it was in here, when you do the parse now, here, it'll not just be red or green, it'll actually say red or green and with pass or fail inside that. So if you're colorblind, you can still see the pass or fail. I don't know why I can't hear you all. Everybody looks green on my screen.
Guy, are you able to hear me?
Somebody's asking, okay, let me go through the chat questions. I guess that's the best way to handle this. So Heather, I can hear Jeff. Palm Apps, thanks. Michael, can denial details be more holistic? I'm not sure what that means, Michael. If you want to send a email to support@tmeda.com and be specific on what you want, we'll try to respond to you that way. Jeffrey Munger, should we expect our LAMUM version top left screen to state 9.1.1? Yes. See, mine hasn't been updated yet to 9.1.1. Sherry, would you please remind us of the FTP site so we can download the new version? Yeah, I can show it to you. Let me see if I got it. I'm assuming you can all see my screen right now. I'm just going to go to download instructions because I've got a 9.1. Here we go, Windows. So what you want is this right here. If you want to write that down or take a page, what do you call it, screenshot, and save that. That's the FTP site. That's the how to log in, and you want to go to the 9.1.0 update, and then run the installer as administrator, and don't skip the JDK 11 or C++ installation, whatever that means. And again, if you need specific help on doing the update, just contact support at teameda.com, and we'll try to help you out. Let's see, Palm apps. Can I have the download details for 911? I just gave that. I know, Jeff. My version is still 9.1. Kevin, can you show the select all features again? Select all features. Okay, so there's. Let me go back to. So that's under batch. You've got feature usage by tag. And so this is where you're going to see all features by tag. So all of these are individual tags. All of these are individual ported hosts. So if I do that tag at NX demo, I have all these features. So I can select specific ones. I can use my control. You can select whatever ones you want and then create the batch report. So it's actually creating multiple batch reports. So what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and, for whatever time period you select up here, it's going to go ahead and create a set of batch reports for these tools, features, under this tag for this given time period, be it 7 days, 30 days, 1 week, 1 month, 90 days, 1 quarter, and so forth and so on. So that, I think that's the one you were talking about, right? Or you can select them all. I mean, I only selected a few, but yeah, you can just select them all. Just use, I think it's the shift button to select them all. All right, let's see. Mike, when you look at the vendor page, will there be any option to have a column that shows where tools are located, aka server? Yeah, you've got that now. It's not under vendor, it's under the licenses tab. You have a site. Site, for some reason, is not visible here, but if I do site, now this is the site of the server, okay? So here's the site of this server. Pune, this server's at this site, and so forth. That's the site. And I'm not sure if that's what you wanted. Wish I knew what happened to my volume. Weird. Michael Thurman, I have sent it. Too bad you can't hear us. I know. What the hell's going on? I don't know what's going on. Appears to be a problem with GoToMeeting. It must be. It can't be me. Because I have everybody's green. You want to tell me what I'm doing wrong?
We have maybe hit all.
I did that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this is a go to
So,
meeting
Guy, you
bug.
can't hear anybody?
Let's see if there's any more chat questions. Keith, it looks like your sound is muted. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Excuse me. Kevin has another question here. Volume on my headphones? Oh my God. Can you hear me?
We hear you fine,
Nope,
Guy.
that's not it. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, damn it. Somehow or another, I must have hit my speaker off, which cuts out my headphones as well. So I do apologize. It's not GoToMeeting, it's me. All right, so
Guy, I have a question, or not even a question, a suggestion actually. This is Chris Nguyen.
Yeah.
So under the denials, if you pick any from your overview, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this might also be the question that the gentleman had earlier about being more holistic. So if you pick any of your denials in your overview under the tables, if you click on overview, yep, and then just pick any table, details table. So at the very bottom, most people don't see it. If you scroll down further, that download detailed denials to Excel, maybe if you move that up instead of being at the bottom, if it's possible, that might be a nicer feature, because that way you can get all the user reports here with all your months instead of actually having to click in a month and find out what, maybe people forget that it's down there because it's at the very bottom.
Good point. Yeah.
So if you can move that up underneath, the display report submit, maybe that might be more beneficial.
Did you get that, Alfred?
Yes, sir. That's been noted.
Okay. Let me go back to Kevin. Let me go back to Kevin.
I got another. Oh,
Kevin.
Hey, Guy, this is Kevin.
Oh, okay. I saw you.
I had another
question
that kind of piggybacks on that denial report. Does that denial report have a way of differentiating whether a user is just continuously clicking? Like, say you get a denial, right? And then the same user just goes click, 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 and keeps getting denials, right?
Right.
And it counts 50 denials for one person. Well,
Yeah.
that kind of gives you weird data, right? Because it looks like you got 50 denials, but it's just one person clicking over and over again. Is there any way that it can differentiate between a single user clicking?
Well, you'll see the denial count here and the time period.
For the person?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that gives you a sense of if he's got 50 denials in a short time period here, you'll see it at this level of detail.
But the graph just counts straight up denials, right? It doesn't count denial per user, right?
Right. I believe so. Yeah. I mean, this denial, where is that denial overview graph? This one here.
Yeah, I think it'd be more accurate data if the graph showed unique denials versus someone that kept trying.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Guy, didn't you used to have something about true denials?
Well, yeah, you can filter, but that's just going to, if it's a legitimate denial, because you've, where is that? Let me go back to. Where was I here? Yeah, when you drill into the detail here, I'm not in the detail yet, but there is a way that you can filter. I have to keep going by denial code. This right here, so I can filter by denial code. That's what this is. but the one that you really want is a 4342. So you could still have 50 denials that are legitimate denials because there's no licenses available. But that's not telling you that you got somebody that's, you know, doing multiple clicks who's got a script written to check every 5 seconds.
Yeah, it would be good to
Well,
have
the
a unique
denial
one.
count actually, well, you guys say unique, but the denial count, like for example, if Paul did click 2 or 3 times, it'll say 3.
Yes.
But after if it says TL Lund or T Lund, if Paul did it again, his would show up as a separate one.
At
So
a different time,
the
yeah.
3, yeah, it'll say a different time. But if Paul had 3 consecutive ones, it will show up 3. And then if Paul did it again after T Lund, then you'll have another denial count with a different time. So it does technically show a unique one after the fact, but this is probably a bad example because there was only 2 denials for that day.
Right, yeah. So if I go back here, here's 6 denials. I don't know, let's see if that, so you've got number of denials 2.
Well, that's just for this week.
Oh, that's
if you had if you had like a better
we don't have much data
for maybe
here.
a different
yeah
tool.
That's the problem, is this is just a demo database, and we don't have actual data, that much better data than this here, unfortunately.
That would be a good feature though, to have like a unique, we could use that here at GD, like how many unique people got denied, like how many users am I talking, because that lets me know how many new licenses I need to get, you know. So that's better for us, like we can, like that would be a good feature enhancement for us.
Yeah, I can see that. Put that on the list, Alfred.
All right, sir.
Denials, we don't have anything like that now, right? Denials by user.
No, we don't. Unless they drill down.
Oh, wait a minute, what's that right there? User denial.
It's a denial count report.
So this one, no, this one you have to select the user, and then it'll show you how many denials they've had, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So this guy A Foyt, he's got all these denials. So you can do it by individual, but I don't think that's what he's asking for. He's looking to have how many denials did A Foyt have? How many did, you know, each individual user have in a given time period?
Yeah, in a given day or time period, like how many did I get?
Yeah.
Did I have 10 different users get denied, 20? And that tell me how many more I need to get, like how many more licenses I need to buy.
Yeah, we're going to call that a denials by user report, and it'll be under here. It's different than this one. This is all the denials for a given user name over a given time period.
We'll call it like unique user denial or something.
Yeah.
Like
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. That should be easy enough to do. Okay, did we have any other questions from the chat? Let's see. Can you show again how show averages by tool? Okay, so this is the comprehensive averages report. So if you click on that, it's going to generate an averages report for all tags. So in this one report, I mean, I only have that many tags, but it's showing me the tool name, the tag name, how many licenses we own, total usage for that tool on that tag for that time period, average usage time, you know, per checkout. I mean, some of this data is really very useful.
Guy, let me explain my question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
That's good information. Now you showed, and the problem is that when I click on that history by average, okay, it has to go through all the data before I can choose that I want a different time frame or that I want to filter it down to a particular tool. Now you earlier mentioned that you could change the time frame and the tool before you ran the report.
Yes.
Could you show that again?
Well, yeah, it's just right here. You pick whatever time frame you want. You have all of these time periods year to date.
No, but the problem is that when I click on average on the drop down, it has to go through all the data before it allows me to change the time frame. So I have to wait for minutes.
Oh, I see.
And so if I could select those things before I submit it, then I wouldn't have to be waiting for so long.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. I guess maybe I'm missing the question, but you select the time period that you want, or if it's custom, you can put in whatever from to time period here, and then you can submit. Now this
by default, he's right. It'll load whatever last setting you had. So if he had the 7-day table, or if by default it goes on the 7-day table, it's going to load all the licenses and the features to get the averages every time. So every tool is tracking.
Yeah, throw a lot of data at this page and it becomes useless.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
Right.
That's why
it's great information. I love the information and I use it all the time, but the problem is it takes so long to gather the information because I have to let it gather it, then I have to filter it and submit it again to get what I want.
That's why we
the browser choke processing all the background data.
That's why we added the averages. It's the same report, but it's only by tags, so it's not crunching through all the tags, all the features across all of them.
Okay, and so that is in the home?
That's in the home page.
Okay, so you have the average column. Okay.
Yep, by tag. So that's dramatically should reduce, the amount of time it takes to generate the averages table. But again, it's only going to be for this tag.
Well, then that'll get me much closer because I'm usually working within one tag or one product line in a sense to get the information, and this will be much faster because I can immediately change my date or immediately filter right there and not have to wait for it to generate all that data. So that's what I needed, is to see where that was again, and that was on the home tab, the average column. Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Okay. It might be helpful too if the history page just didn't show you the report until you submitted it.
That's true.
Data, it does become, it's one of the most useful pages that we never use because we have so many lines in there waiting for the background processing to happen. You end up closing the tab and moving on.
Right. So if you could allow you to submit, not automatically, but change the date and do any filtering and then submit, that would be a wonderful page.
Alfred, do you understand what they want? What he's asking?
Yes, I think I do. So basically what he's saying is that when he does the history averages, he doesn't want it to load by a default time period. He wants it to be a blank page where he can select the default time period.
Okay. Yeah, because we usually set everything to default for 7 days.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's fine if you don't have a lot of data.
Yeah.
Really, really load up LAMUM with lots of licenses, lots of history, and the history page becomes untenable.
That's a good point. Good point.
Having it blank by default would make it more usable than it is now.
I'm trying to gather some data on a 6-month history, and I have to let it generate the whole thing and wait 10 minutes before I can go in and then change it to 6 months and then submit it again and then even filter it down from there. And it really just takes way too much time. But if you could allow us to not default and put in our parameters and then select, that would be much better for us.
So that's true of the averages. Are there other reports that are like that? I mean, should we take that 7-day default out of all of these reports? I mean, all of these are going to be default to 7 days.
Yeah, but the averages is the only one that I'm aware of where the browser is going off for every single row in the table and fetching background data. So your browser basically hangs and doesn't let you interact much until it's done.
So if we take it out, remove the 7-day default for averages, that would be what you're asking for.
Well, and once you've set it up now, because I've been using 9.1 for a while, but once it would learn the last one that you used, that would be great. But I don't see it doing that. It just keeps defaulting to the 7-day.
Starts over again, yeah. Yeah, you want sticky.
And that's not the one I want to use.
Sticky time periods. Okay. Well, I think the best thing to do there is just leave it blank, and then you start from whatever time period you want.
I would agree.
All right. Is there any other chat questions? If you look at a vendor to differentiate, you have two tools with the same name.
Hey guy, this is Mike. That was my question from earlier about the vendor page. So it's probably not. It's probably more trivial than some of these other questions, but we have some tools that we have in different servers. Maybe they're landlocked by site, and when you go to the vendor page to kind of look at everything under one view, once you look at the table on the bottom of the vendor page, if they have the same tool name, unless you know the expiration date of that tool, there really is no way to tell which one is where. So that's kind of what I had meant. And I know you can find the licenses tab, but it just makes it easier when you're doing a lot of overhead admin work and going back into the vendor tab to be able to see which one you're going back.
So I guess I'm not sure where you're.
So if you click on vendors.
Vendors, yeah.
And I'm not sure if you have an example, but if you have a tool there, maybe Cadence, or like for instance ours under Mentor, we have a Mentor server at almost each of our sites, and depending if we have the same tool at each one, down the bottom there's a table.
Yeah. Well, that's these here.
And there's no column that will show where those are, so you don't even know what server they are. So if you just kind of want to have an overview idea, I would think it'd be pretty easy to add one more column that would just kind of differentiate if you have two tools with the same name.
Well, that probably, because these are more meant to be historical. So these are going to be your history of line items, but the current list is here under licenses. And of course you can sort by column, by tool name, you can see where you have multiple, like MATLAB. And then here's where I have the three servers, where they're located. Would that help you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do now. It's more of a convenience thing when you're in the vendor tab. I just didn't know how much work it would be to add a column like that, because I know it would help us out. But if it's more work than it's worth, then I could just continue to do that.
Anything's possible. Do other people have that problem on the call here? Oh, doesn't. Well, we'll have to look at that separately, Mike.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Windows sound is muted. Okay, and this is a question that came in from Don Bernhard. In the past time interval for data collection, the minimum was every 5 minutes. What is the minimum now? Oh, it's still the same, 5 minutes. Yeah, and the problem there, data collection interval, 5 minutes, is you got 5 minutes to 30 minutes is, I don't know exactly why. If we were constantly collecting data, it would start crashing. So if you have enough daemons, and if there's network problems or something where you're not clearing the LM-stat cron within 5 minutes, you could start to crash. And so that's, now if you wanted to, the other thing is the amount of data that you're going to collect. So, the data collection speed, how fast you collect data and how much data you collect depends on that, how frequently you're collecting data, how many daemons you have, right? So if you got number of daemons, and how many engineers you have. So you could be collecting data so fast that your database is going to grow to such a size that it's going to slow the system down. Now we have white papers up on our website talk about database management, and I'd encourage you to look at those white papers. But we added in 9.0 two ways of managing the database. So one is to archive old data. So you truncate old data. So if you've got data more than 2 years in there and you don't need it, you can just archive it. You're not losing it. You're just archiving it so that we're not sorting through, 3, 4, 5 years worth of data. So that's the archive and data tool that's under admin. The other one is the database reduction tool, and that removes zeros, the unnecessary zeros from the database, and that can shrink the database by 2/3. It's a huge amount of zeros, so we remove those through this database reduction procedure. But I would say you don't need to worry about your database until it gets up to be about 5 gigs, and you check your backup. You go to your backup interval and location, go to the latest backup interval and see what the database size is. That's the best way to check your database. I don't know how we got off on that tangent, but so yeah, we sort of arbitrarily set the minimum at 5 minutes. Any other questions?
Yeah, I still had a question, Guy. It's Kevin.
Yeah.
So I see you can drop out those batch reports and select all the features.
Yep.
Now that batch report, does that include any graphs? Does that have any history graphs or anything like that? Like what kind of data comes out of that?
Alfred, can you tell me what are the reports that are generated here?
Is that just text, or is that graphs, or is that?
They're just tables. This doesn't have graphs. These are just tables. So this will give you all the usage on all the tags for a specific time period.
Whatever.
If you're looking for graphs, you need to do a specific graph and then do a batch report for that.
Okay.
But he wanted to do a bunch of graphs.
Can I get a bunch of graphs at once?
No, we don't have that now. This is just for table because of the information that is needed.
Okay.
Well, we could, Alfred. What says feature usage by tag? So we select a bunch of features. Is it generating the user detail report?
It is. It's generating the whole thing. The reason why we can't do it by graph is that the graph, if you are presenting each feature, there'll be different colors. So we have a lot of colors for each feature. Probably the maximum you could get is like 5 colors. So you don't want to do that. If not, you cannot read the graph well.
Well, you'd have to. I think what he's asking for would be a different graph for each feature, right? So yeah. he picks. Is that what you want? And that's Kevin, right?
Yeah. So like I go into MATLAB, and MATLAB has like 30 toolboxes or whatever, and I want to do a history graph for the last 30 days, whatever, and I want to see all of the graphs, like all the graphs for the last 30 days for all the MATLAB stuff, like everything. Like
but
I
each
want to be
graph,
able to just,
you'd have a different graph for each feature.
Right. So like I want to click on, see you got 30-day table there, right? So say I want a 30-day graph historically of usage over time, like you guys have, but instead of just like MATLAB, just like Simulink, just like I want everything. I want all of them, all 30 graphs. Bam, give me them. Or 90 days or 180 days, whatever it is.
So Alfred, why can't we just do a history graph for that? For instance, each one of these features.
Yeah, give me all of those. I want all of those at once. Yeah, say I want a graph of all of those. Yeah, that's what I want.
So you don't want all of that combined in one graph. You want a graph for each of them.
Right. I want all of those graphs, but I want them all right now, all at once. I don't want to have to click on each one of them. I want to be able to say, give me all of these graphs for 30 days.
Yes.
So
just like FlexNet Manager.
I see no reason why we can't do it, Alfred, because right now what you're doing here is all okay, but what we're doing is just the user detail table for each of these.
I understand that. What I'm asking is the requirement. So he doesn't want everything on one graph. He wants a graph each.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, sure. That is doable.
We'll put that in the next release. And what I would suggest, Alfred, is you only need the one, feature usage by tag, and then there'll be a button here somewhere where you can select user details, table, or individual graphs. You just check the one you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or you could even put it on the same history where you do the history. Like if you go back to usage, go back to usage real quick, the usage tab. And then, yeah, go back to the usage tab.
Well, the home tab, this one here?
Yeah, that one, sorry. Yeah, the home tab. And then like, where you click, the history graphs, like you have the history column there with the graphs. So
right.
Click on like one of those.
Yeah.
And then in here, you just have an all at the top or something. Yeah, or in here, just have all features,
Well,
like
you couldn't do
all
that.
features.
This is just, that's what you want, is you want this, you want a bunch of these in
Yeah,
a
I
batch,
want a bunch of
batch
those.
report. Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
easy enough to do, Alfred. It's just, instead of generating the user detail table, it would just generate the graph for each feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and that'd be nice to be able to do too to tie in with your dashboard too. When you create a dashboard, like it'd be nice to be able to just, give me all the links for all these graphs and I can just dump it somewhere. Give it to a manager, give it to whoever, here's all the MATLAB stuff here,
Can you export it to PDF?
Export the graph?
The report that he's asking for with all the different features and the usage.
Well, it's going to be
the graphical usage.
It's going to be a batch report, right? And it's going to export. All graphs are exported as PDFs, right, Alfred?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as implementation goes, we can either have a feature usage by tag tables or a feature usage by tag graphs. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, sure.
Either one way or another, but that's all doable. Feature graphs by tag or feature tables by tag. I'm making note here. Okay. Anything else? Anybody got?
Yes, Guy.
Hi, Larry.
I put it in the chat window. If I am missing data because it's not being pulled in by the cron, is there a way to pull in missing data from the log file?
Yes, it's called the comprehensive checkout parser. You got to set that up. So what this does, it pulls everything. I mean everything. If you had a checkout for 3 seconds, it would pick that up.
Okay.
You have to set that up.
I don't know why, but I lost a whole week of PTC usage and I didn't know how to get that data back.
You got to get it back through the Flex debug logs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Alfred,
you.
Any other suggestions, Alfred, on how to go back and pick up?
No. I mean, you just said it. You can get it through the debug log file.
Wonderful.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
Hey, on the comment when you guys were talking about the denials, that's licensing denials. What about if you don't have a feature within your licensing file? Will it also give you a different type of error and let you know the features doesn't exist in your license file?
I don't
know.
For a description?
Yes, there are a lot of errors. So if there's no server for the feature, you have a different error code, and that usually starts with a -3.
Oh, in denials. Okay.
Yes.
I was just wondering if your denials was set up for all the types.
Is. Yeah, it is. Okay. So like Guy said, the most common one or the true denial is license number of users already reached, and that is error code -4. But if the feature does not exist or if there's no server for the feature, you have error code -3, and there are different lot of error codes, and we track all of those.
Thanks.
Hey, Guy, I've got another question. This is Kevin again. Hey, can you show me the options file thing you were talking about?
Yeah, there isn't a lot to see there. How it's under Daemon Manager. So you go to the Daemon Manager, and then you're going to do the option files. And so you have to have your option file location set up We don't. And this is my demo here, so I don't have any option files. But basically, you're going to have a path here to your option file, and you're going to have an edit option file. And you're going to click that, and then inside of that is the syntax checking. And I honestly don't know how that works. Whether before you save the option file, you know, when you're editing it, you're going to have an edit window pop up. What happens if I click on that? Yeah, here's the edit window, and so you can go ahead and edit it. And then when you try to save it, when does the syntax checking occur, Alfred? Is it during editing?
Yeah, so no, when you edit and then you want to save, it's to do the syntax checking before it allows you to save it. With the option files, there are a lot of syntax that you need because the option files is used for borrowed license, reserved license, and a whole lot more. So just before you save it, it will check the syntax and it will give you the line number and where you have an error. Guy, if you could go on, if you could change your IP to 117, I could just show them how that works real quick.
Why don't I just let you be the presenter?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just for a minute.
If I can find you here.
Okay.
Does that general info have stuff about syntax too? Like sometimes I want to use a certain options file and I don't know if it exists or I can even do it. So does that general info have any information about options files in general?
Well, the path, all of your general info is where you set all your paths to things like, you got to have all this set up, right? The license file location. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Option file location,
Yes.
debug file location, you know, the operating system needs to be set. So you have to have that all set up first. And there is a test button here to see if the path is good.
Okay.
But yeah, you have to have that set up. And then once you do, so you have a path to your option file here. Then when you go here, you're going to see that file location here. Then you can edit it or reread it from here. I'm not sure what all files are here. Oh, I guess this would be opt. Okay, Alfred, you ready? Let me make you the presenter.
I don't know. Can you see my screen?
I do see your screen. Can everybody see his screen?
Yes.
Yes.
With the daemon info page. Hello?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. So this is the option file. Once you have the option file, okay, we can just do a read, edit option file. Now, assuming you put all these commands in it, okay, for an option file to do any of these ones, if the syntax is not right for a line, and then you want to save that, it should give you that syntax error found, line 4 exclude feature keyword value this. Okay, so we will give you the syntax, and then you need to correct that before you can save it.
It's actually pretty handy.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to show you.
Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, this is Chris from Veoneer. So we have a tool called AutoSAR/Rectify, which is from DSL Systems. The problem is it is Flex, but it's not that it's Flex that it's the issue. A lot of the licenses and features are token based, but LAMUM, the LAMUM tool recognizes the packages. So it's not even tracking the token usage for AutoSAR/Rectify. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Is there anything in place for that potentially, or unfortunately, because like I said, the features are underneath the package, and that would probably be kind of harder to track since some of these packages have a ton of features, but it's not tracking any of them It's not tracking denials. It's not tracking usage. It's unfortunately useless for us for that particular tool.
Well, that brings up the whole issue of token tracking, and we haven't found a good way to track tokens because we don't know the token mapping, for each vendor, and it constantly changes. So that's a hard one. We can track the feature, of course, and how many tokens it's using, and we know how many. That's another reason that we put in that scaled graph thing here, because you could have 10,000 tokens. And so you can see.
Yeah, I mean, the tool is FlexLM, but the problem is, like I said, LAMUM recognizes each package, but that's about it. And since you're not checking out the actual package, it's not tracking usage.
Well, it is in terms of the when you say I don't.
No, it's not. It's not tracking any usage for AutoSAR/Rectify.
Alfred, do you have any idea what he means?
No, if it's just token based, LAMUM should still track it as tokens. It will not track it as usage, but it will track. I mean, it will not track it as tokens, but it will still track it as usage. Usually, MSC has that. MSC has some token based, and the people who use that, they still get usage. Just that it's regular usage and it's not token based. So
well, doors is token based, and we're tracking all of those just fine. AutoSAR Rectify is not tracking. I can send pictures later.
Well, that may be something.
Sure.
Yeah, we want to look at. If you can, that's Chris, right? Talking.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Chris.
Yeah, if you can just send an email to support@teameda.com, Chris. We'll take a look at that. Sounds maybe just unique to you. Any other questions? So again, you always have, if you have questions, please, you can write us or call us anytime, support@teameda.com. I'd like to close by just saying thank you for being a Team EDA customer, and we're always trying to improve the product. I hope this demonstrates that we do listen, and there's always room for improvement. We've already got, let's see, 1, 2, 3 more ideas to put in for the next release. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.